get to comments. There you go. Comments. Ooh. This is weird. Post a comment. Control V. Is that right? You know, honestly, I just need people to hang out with me tonight. I know that's not gonna go well. So let's find out what happens. YouTube. Yep, put a 7 in there, dummy. There you go. I'll be damned, I am live. Okay. Yeah, got it. No, it's already in there. Okay. So I just need to wait for people to hang out, show up, hang out. Okay. Apparently I got it all set. Yeah, I guard my privacy. Like, anybody fucking cares who I am, right? So, there I was all day today thinking to myself, I said, you need to get your wheelchair down the ramp, and you need to get your little go-kart going and all that stuff. So I charged both my wheelchair and my little go-kart because I knew I needed to walk today. I needed to walk. I went to church this morning, sang worship music this morning, and then I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to go home, but I still had to get home, park my truck, and get my wheelchair. And I went down, and I just spent all day today in Williams, just being myself. And yeah, I needed help. I needed help, but I didn't get any. So I'm just, well, here I am right at home on the computer. Here I am at home on a computer. Finally, after what was it, 18 hours today, I was just, seriously, I was literally just driving my little go-kart back and forth throughout the town. Let me put that StreamYard link back in the chat because I'm assuming somebody would want to talk. I may be mistaken, but it's there. I didn't pin it. It's just a link in the chat. So if you guys want to come on and talk, I'm available. Like I said, I drove all over Williams today. I actually went and sang karaoke tonight at the bar, and then came home. So it is what it is. If you guys, hey Kronos, good times, good times. Um, let me tell you, the pain stream is not just for me. I honestly want to commiserate with others. I mean, I know a lot of people are not willing to come online, so I'm okay with that. It's just that my back and my brain and all that stuff. It's been. Uh, let me let me tell you. Okay, this year I had the MRI on my brain, and it showed 3 new lesions. Lesions are scars on the brain. So I have that now. I have that now. I didn't have it last year, but I have it now. And that's why I'm telling you. Yeah, it's like, okay, so I just, I really didn't want to be alone tonight. And I know there's a lot of people who really don't want to come on and just chat and listen to me bitch about my medical issues. I get that. I get that. I understand. But I am going to continue talking until I can't talk anymore and my voice is gone. I mean, you guys hear me. I sound like a, well, I'm a 25-year smoker, but I sound like a 25-year-old smoker right now. You know what? Fuck off. I'm just gonna tell my story, and you guys can listen to me or not. I'm just gonna keep fucking talking. Back in back in two no 1998, 1998, right? I had already gotten out of I had already gotten out of West Point Preparatory School. I failed math in West Point Preparatory School. I did not do well. It was pre-calculus, and I had only taken algebra in high school, so I did not do well in I did not do well at West Point Preparatory School. At that time in 1998, it was in New Jersey. Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. I don't know if you guys, if any of you know where Fort Monmouth is. Well, that's yeah. So back in 1998, I totally failed West Point Preparatory School, and so they sent me to Fort Hood. Oh, right. And that's another thing. We're not allowed to call those forts what they used to be called. Like Fort Hood is not Fort Hood anymore. I honestly don't know what Fort Hood is called, but I'm going to keep calling it Fort Hood cuz that's where I was. Uh, Now, General Hood General Hood was the third officer. You had General Lee, you had General Jackson, and you had General Hood, right? He was the third officer. So when they say that you can't call Fort Hood anymore, I get furious. I get absolutely furious. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I can't even go to Fort Stewart anymore. I don't even know what Fort Stewart is called. Stewart was a great general too. I mean, he was way down on the list. He was a cavalry officer, but you know, I went to Fort Lee for I went to Fort Lee for not basic training. I went to Fort Jackson for basic training. I went to Fort Lee for advanced individual training. That's that's why I went to Fort Lee, and I was there for 3, 4, 5 months, something like that. Padawannabe. I've got the link in the chat if you want to come on the panel. I'm just bitching about the fact that all the Southern generals that were, you know, like heroes for me, etc., whatever. Um, we're not allowed to call Fort Stewart anymore. We're not allowed to call Fort Hood anymore. We're not allowed to call Fort Lee anymore. I just give up, man. I can't. I just can't. I mean, they were such great generals, and they were all West Point graduates. I mean, mind you, I'm an enlisted guy. I'm a E7, right? And so they put me out of the army a year and a half away from my retirement date. They put me out of the army. So yes, I still call myself an E7, even though you know it's just it is what it is, and you're right, Kronos. No, 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 Kronos, you're fine. You don't have to know your history. Well, I would hope that if people know their history, to be perfectly honest with you. Uh, you you should know that all those people that I talked about were really important, and they're not allowed to have their names on anything anymore. They took the statues and the yeah, they took all the statues down in the South. They were like, "Are you kidding me? Why are we celebrating these people? You're celebrating those people because they are." Now, the Civil War was bad, okay? The Civil War was bad. I get that. I get that. I understand why people don't like the Civil War. But honestly, those generals were so amazing. They had such amazing tactical knowledge, strategic knowledge. Well, um, General Lee had the strategic knowledge. General Jackson was like the best of all possible tacticians. He knew what he was doing. And so it's like, okay, I get it. I get it. You're fighting for states' rights, or you're fighting for slavery, or you're fighting for whatever. But honestly, don't don't change my bases. Don't don't change my bases. I worked for 18 years. And yes, I was at Fort Stewart. I was at Fort Lee. I was at Fort Hood. I was at Fort um, uh, Louisiana. Fort. No, I was at Fort Leavenworth in Kansas. I was at and so it's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're really doing this now? Look, it's been 150 years. Well, 150 years, right? Since the Civil War. And you are taking away your history. You are taking away your history. You know you're doing that. You know you're taking away your history because Fort Jackson belongs. Jonathan Jackson belongs on the name of that post. And General Lee belongs on the name of that post in Virginia. And Fort Hood, General Hood, belongs on the name of that post in Texas. Y'all done messed up. Y'all done messed up. That's what I'm saying. Well, there's a reason I live in Arizona, because fuck everywhere else. But I can't believe it. I honestly, those places that I lived at all of them, and they're changing the names, and I can't even remember the names. So why? Let me post a link if anybody really wants to come on and marinate the stupidity of current America. You're welcome to. I'm going to put the StreamYard link in, and you guys can all come on if you want to. But, yeah, that's, it's like, from, from Fort Hood, who was an amazing general. Hood was an amazing general. From Fort Hood, I went to Bosnia in 1998. I went to Iraq from Fort Carson, the my other three deployments. Yes, 4 whole deployments. I know a lot of Air Force people out there are going to be like, "Oh, you're a fucking bitch. You only did 4 deployments." Because the Air Force had to go out to Iraq like every other 4 months or something like that. Kronos, it's actually beautiful weather here. The temperature gets up to like 70 degrees in the afternoon, and then it drops at night. I don't even have my furnace on. Yeah, I love the weather here. I absolutely love it. The reason I live at 7,000 feet is because it's awesome. Anywhere else, when I go down and visit my brother, or when I go down and visit my family in Los Angeles, and by the way, Los Angeles sucks. You guys all know that Los Angeles sucks, right? I mean, there's absolutely nothing good in Los Angeles. If I will debate anyone who says Los Angeles is good, because I know Los Angeles sucks. I know it, because I grew up there. I used to ride my bicycle down to Long Beach. I got punched off of my bicycle. Punched, punched off of my bicycle. And they stole my bicycle and drove away with it. So, Los Angeles sucks. There's nothing good in Los Angeles. Nothing. Every time I go down there to visit my cousins and my uncles and my aunts, every single time I go down there, it's like uh, absolutely you're correct, Kronos. It is absolute suckage. I hate driving there, and I have to go there next month. My uncle is on hospice, so I need to go see him before he dies. And then I need to go out there again after he dies for his funeral. So I have to go to Los Angeles like 3 times this year, and I I just absolutely hate being there. I absolutely hate it. There's a reason I moved to Arizona in the 90s. There's a reason I live in Arizona now. I don't live in Los Angeles. And there's a very, very good reason for that. And all the all the very good reasons I've already lamented. Lamented. I have lamented today. Oh, no worries. No worries. No worries, Kronos. I was my uncle's caregiver for a year, and then I got my DUI and moved back to Arizona and moved back into my own house, and so yeah, I own my own house. I don't rent. I own it. I own it. Well, I wish I could say I own it outright, but hey, anyone out there want to give me $300,000? Yeah, I didn't think that was going to be the case. But I thought to myself, self, I said, if you don't ask, it ain't going to happen. But yeah, I'll be completely debt free when I get when I get $300,000. So I'll be completely debt free. That'll be nice. I don't know when that's gonna happen. I thought when I published my book and put it out on the market, I would get more than 50 sales of my book. I really did think I would get more than 50 sales of my book. I actually bought more copies of my book than other people did. So there I was, no shit. We we went we I was in the first 8 cav, the 8th Cavalry Regiment. I was in 1-8 Cav, and we went to Bosnia. And while we were there, obviously we showed up in August, and it started snowing almost immediately. So we lived in tents at the time because they were still building the sea huts, the wooden buildings that we ended up living in. But we were living in tents at the time, and it was snowing, and it was fucking cold, and I was doing 12-hour shifts, uh, just pumping fuel into Humvees. I actually went on a couple of patrols with the units. They wanted drivers, and so they said the fuelers are only doing like 12-hour shifts every other day, and I was like, yeah, fuck you, but I did it, okay, and so yeah, I drove through Srebrenik. Someone correct me if I got it wrong. Srebrenik, I I believe is correct. Anyway, that's what we did back in 1998. I know almost everybody who's actually listening to me. Yeah, that's amazing. I've got actually 5 people actually listening to me right now. Um, yeah, that's pretty amazing. And then, I got back from Iraq, and I spent 2 years in the strip clubs. No, I got back from Bosnia, and I spent 2 years in the strip clubs. I used to be a bass player. It took me, let's see, 2 days ago. 2 days ago, it took me an hour to tune my bass. And if you've ever played an instrument, if you've ever played an instrument and tried to tune it and said to yourself, a fucking hour? So, when I got my bass tuned, then I tried to play my scales and my warm up tunes that I used to do. Dude, I used to be able to play YYZ by Rush. If you've never heard of that, I can't play Primus. I'm sorry, I can't. I just can't do the thumb slap. And obviously, since I can't even play my scales anymore, I can't move my left arm, right? So, um, but the slapping and picking, yeah, I just can't do it anymore. But I appreciate you bringing up Primus. I do appreciate that. But yeah, YYZ by Rush. That was my audition song. That was my warm up song and all that stuff. And I just can't play YYZ anymore. I can't even play my scales anymore. I mean, I used to be able to play Mixolydian scales. Who out there, please answer the question in the chat or just come online. I've already put the StreamYard link in the chat. Does anyone know what a Mixolydian scale is? I used to be able to play all 16 Mixolydian scales. I can't even play regular scales now. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I cannot play any of those scales now. And it took me an hour to tune my bass. I'm so angry. Welcome, Adega Outlaw. You are such a wonderful man. You are. So I thought to myself, I said, you can't sit you can't sit in your recliner today because your legs are twitching. So I went out and walked. And honestly, the weather here is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it got up to 70, 80 degrees, something like that. It was absolutely gorgeous, wonderful weather today. I didn't even have to wear my sweatshirt. I have to wear my sweatshirt when I'm in home, when I'm at my home, because um, I don't have the furnace on right now. I don't have the furnace on, so when it gets cold at night, like 50 degrees, that's what the temperature is in the house during the day, like 50 degrees. So I have to wear my sweatshirt. But when I went out and I went out and just went around the town. I didn't have to wear my sweatshirt or anything. It was just a wonderful day today. It really was. It was a really wonderful day today. And I got to sing karaoke today. Ouch. The funny thing is, there at like 3 hours into the karaoke, there were only the two of us. It's like, why do people not want to sing? I honestly don't know. I really don't. Oh, the roof is on fire. Good job, Kronos. Good job. Good song. I can't sing that one. I was I was honestly hoping that someone would come on with me. I mean, I'll hang around because I'm not ready to go to sleep yet. But I was hoping somebody would come on with me. Let me put the link in there again, just in case. I understand why people wouldn't want to come on with me. So, 2007. No, 2003. That was 2003. Damn it. Okay. So, I was in Kuwait. Well, let me. All right. Let me go back in time. 2002, Christmas time. My company commander canceled all leaves. So none of us got to go home on Christmas in 2002 because my company commander said, "We're deploying in 2003." So anyway, my leave was canceled, and then in 2003, of course, in uh, somewhere in February, I ended up in Kuwait. Wow, that's impressive. I've lost 6 viewers. You know what? I don't care. I don't care that I lost 6 viewers. Joke 'em. Joke 'em. So there I was. 2003, right around my birthday time. And we ended up in Kuwait. And then in March, the end of March, we broke the berm and we went in. I told my section sergeant. Um, I told my section sergeant that I was really fucking scared. I mean, it makes sense. Obviously, you're going into a combat zone, but I mean, I was a quartermaster. I ran fuel and stuff. I was actually driving a fuel truck. Anyway, so yeah, they asked if people could drive stick shifts, so I drove the deuce and a half. Actually, I didn't drive the fuel trucks. My friends did. My friends drove the fuel trucks. I drove the deuce and a half. Uh, anyway, it took us 4 days to get to Baghdad. It took us 4 days to get to Baghdad. Totally, totally an army thing. I'm assuming that there are a lot of. I'm assuming there's a lot of veterans out there. There's nothing I can do about that, but uh, when I'm sitting at the bar and a Vietnam veteran sits next to me and I go, "Dude, I totally get it." Dude, I totally get it. So 2003, that that 4 day journey to Baghdad was tough. It really was. It was very difficult. Oh, the Padawan is down in the. I'm sorry. Oh, dude, I am so sorry that I missed you.
Don't be sorry. I was only in
How long
there
have you been waiting
15
backstage?
seconds at the very most. You saw it pretty fast. Don't
Okay.
even don't even sweat that at all. I think people aren't coming on, man. I can't compare with nothing you got. I got no stories from no relatives even. It could have been different.
Dude,
I have kind of an early tragedy when I was a kid and my father was in the Marines and
oh,
he
your
was
your dad was a Marine?
he was on leave and he was killed. Or I won't say he was killed, that insinuates the wrong thing. He passed away. And so,
may I say, well, it's my stream. I can say whatever the hell I want.
but I mean,
Okay.
I would have been an armed Marine brat. I would have been a military brat, but that changed the life. That
Uh,
skewed the life tale quite a bit.
the thing is, right? Everybody talks about Vietnam and whoever got lost over in Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff. I never lost any soldiers. I didn't. I mean, I was a platoon sergeant when I was on my third deployment, and I never lost any soldiers. But when we got home, that's when they killed themselves. They killed themselves when we got home because they couldn't deal with the pressure of having come home without any scratches or anything. I mean, we built fuel
Is that the
systems, right? I mean,
survivor's guilt
that's
type of
literally
stuff?
what we did. We built fuel systems.
That's that survivor's guilt type of stuff, right? That's not PTSD or
Exactly.
anything like that.
Yes.
That's I can't
All of
believe
my
I made
soldiers
it, and
all,
why did I make it?
in in 18 years of service, I lost all of my soldiers to suicide when we got home. That is absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. Well, on the other hand, that's one of the reasons I don't take anything stronger than marijuana.
Yeah, I even get worried about the prescription drugs for certain things because they
Right?
always
Yeah,
they
back in
always come with
October.
that. They always come with that disclaimer at the end that says like 12 to 50 different things. And it's always, if you have suicidal thoughts, please contact a physician. It's like, hopefully I can make it that
Right.
far. I don't want to take. What? What?
The pro the biggest problem with that is when you do call those crisis lines and stuff, they call 911 on you, and
Yeah.
so the paramedics show up, and
Excuse
then
me,
you
sorry.
have to figure out how to get back home the next day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It cost me $80 every time I call
If
the
the cops
fucking.
get called, they're not
It cost
leaving
me
without
eighty
somebody.
dollars every time I call the
Yeah.
crisis line, so I don't call the crisis line anymore.
Those are bad crisis counselors. They're supposed to help you and get you through, not just call the cops. I was thinking about that the other day. I saw some video. They were saying like what people didn't realize they lived with or without. Like I remember when 911 came out.
Yeah, I do
Like we
too.
had to
I
actually
know. Yeah.
dial the fire department, or we had to dial the police department, or there was
Right.
no quick number and it wasn't faster to dial the operator.
Oh
Like you
no no
had
no no
you
no
and
no.
this was
Yeah.
before
In
post-it
the
notes.
early
You had to have
'80s.
a tack in
In
the
the
wall
Yeah.
or a magnet on
It
your
was
fridge
awful.
with the
Right.
numbers. The emergency numbers: police department, fire department, possibly special detective, but then you'd have aunt, uncle, grandma, grandma.
So uh, I know I didn't name it Pain Stream. I just named it Pain. But I used to do the Pain Stream once a week, and so that's literally what I'm trying to do right now.
Hmm.
If you don't mind, I'll tell my story.
No,
Because
if that's
I
what you
don't
want to do,
know
that's
if
what you're
you
doing. My
I don't
pain's a
know if
little
you're in
different.
it.
Yours
I
is
don't know if
legitimate.
you're in
Mine
chronic
seems
pain,
superficial. No, I don't
but
have anything like
I'm
that. I have I'm not sure what it is. I just deal with myself. I don't have
Fair enough.
I don't have inner voices, but I have a lot of inner thoughts. And I tend to go like I'm one of those people that
many times.
like I spiral in my head.
Yes.
You know, I'll keep myself awake at
In
night.
your head is so
And-
bad.
And
Yes,
whatever
I
the
know.
reason is, it's probably a chemical imbalance, but I always remember the negative memories. Like, oh, great. Why did I just remember something from when I was 8?
Right.
Just some
right,
random
right, yeah.
experience at school with another student. It wasn't traumatic. They just said something that day that made me go, what's that mean? And for some reason, I always remember it because I found out later it's kind of a negative term. You know, they weren't being nice girls to me. That's for sure. You know, but I didn't know. I didn't understand what it meant, and I wasn't what they called me. And when you're young, you even understand it less. You know what I mean? Like if they would have
I
said,
totally know
"You're
what you
sad
mean,
because you
yeah.
don't have your daddy around," I would have understood that. It wouldn't have made sense, but I
And
understood what they were
Kronos,
trying to say.
Kronos, for God's sake, of course your brain thinks by itself.
Oh,
Of
dude.
course your brain thinks by itself. Naturally.
Now I'm
we-
curious.
we-
Kronos
we-
had
we-
commented.
we
Sorry, go
cannot-
ahead.
We cannot get out of our brains. It's just that simple. We cannot get out of them.
My brain makes me stop doing stuff. I will
Oh,
put
dude.
stuff off,
I
and I can do it in
My,
10 minutes. Oh, I'll do it in a half hour. Oh, you know, and then at the end of the day, I'll berate myself for you let the whole day go by and you didn't do anything. You know, it's like that kind of, it's a weird battle. I don't know what they call that kind of stuff. It's not an anxiety or anything. It's just a,
well, let me explain.
Please.
The VA is putting in a new wheelchair ramp for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually have to grade. I have to get all the rocks and stuff out of the out of the front yard, and take
Okay.
them into the backyard and grade.
Like you say rocks now.
slope
You're
up to the
talking.
ramp.
Are you talking like driveway size rocks? Or are you talking like rocks like you want to throw in the river as a kid?
Oh no, they're big.
Okay, so you have larger
Big
rocks
old-
so it makes sense that you have to clear these things out of the way for what they're doing.
Right.
So
And
okay,
they're
okay.
gonna put in an aluminum. They're gonna put in an aluminum ramp.
Ooh.
So I need to regrade that slope.
I gotcha. I
Because
understand that.
I can't drive my wheelchair up it. So
That's
I
the
need to- I need
craziest
to-
thing. They
I
make
need
these
to
electric
regrade
cars that
ramp.
hit 200 in 6 seconds or 150 in 6 seconds, but they can't make a wheelchair that goes 5 miles an hour and can go upstairs and all that kind of shit as the normal thing that they hand out, right?
You know what? Padawannabe.
Oh,
I have both. I have a cart that goes 15 miles an hour.
yeah, you
and
said you were driving
I
your
have-
cart around all day.
Yeah, I was driving. Well, no, I was driving my wheelchair around all day today.
Oh, okay.
That one only goes.
Yeah,
5 miles
it's-
an hour.
That's
But
more like a
my
light
big cart
jog
goes
speed.
15 miles an hour.
Oh, there you go. That's more like a
Yeah.
bicycle cruise. You can get the wind in your hair. I don't
Oh
have
my
any hair,
God.
but you can feel
I-
it in your hair.
I was
Yeah,
a
so-
triathlete.
Oh goodness, really? I didn't do anything
yeah.
like that. I did a lot of stuff in high school junior high and high school sports, but I did high jump and I was a runner in the beginning.
Oh, right on.
Like the early years, I was bigger and faster. Like my freshman year of high school, my football picture, I'm on the second from the top row. And then like my senior year of high school, I'm second from the bottom row. So,
Kronos
Like
says
for-
I don't have hair. All right, let me turn on my camera. There.
Well, I
Look at that.
sport the
I've
Picard.
got the
I sport the Picard. I've got the
I've got the
horseshoe.
whole you know, the
The bump on your forehead thing.
unicorn. I've
Yeah,
got the
I
unicorn
have
hair.
that too. Well, I don't have the. Oh, you have the widow's peak thing, the unicorn hair. You mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
I
got the
see it now. I
unicorn
see it
hair
now.
right
Okay,
here.
because
Yeah.
you have short hair, so now I see the stubble, the stubble line there. Well, can I say? Well, I'm not gonna
Seven
say that. That's kind of
I
mean to
was
everybody
I
else.
was
But
17 years old and I joined the army. And what movie did you see that people join the army and they shave their hair?
oh, it was was
Let's
it Full
go
Metal
with
Jacket? Was that Full Metal Jacket
Full
where they're
Metal
doing that one
Jacket.
in?
Yeah, Full Metal Jacket.
Because the
And
only other one
Full
I can
Metal
think
Jacket,
of.
they did the whole thing where they cut all the hair off of everybody,
And I think that's the
right?
one where they didn't
And
tell them they were doing it. So, like, them being surprised and the camera was real. I can't remember if that was that
yeah,
movie or another movie that I watched where them getting their
it
head
was
shaved.
Full Metal Jacket. Yes, it was Full Metal
Oh my
Jacket. They
goodness.
didn't
Could you
tell them that
imagine?
they were
Could you
gonna do
imagine?
that,
Oh my God.
and
Could you
like
imagine?
Matthew Modine was like pissed, like, really, you cut off
Well,
all my hair?
hair
I
back
was
then was
I
way more important. You could have beautiful hair and an ugly face and still have a great Hollywood career. I mean, you know this. You know this.
I
It's
know,
like it's
I
like
know.
it's like English people with bad teeth. Kind of, it's the same kind of thing. It's like you can have bad teeth and still be an international superstar. Oh no, I put him to sleep.
Really? I'm just
Well,
lighting a
no,
cigarette.
no, you were
Seriously,
looking down.
you
You were
you
looking
thought
down
you
so long. I was like, oh no, I knocked him out from laughter. He was like, I'm dead.
I'm going to cough my
That was great.
brains out. But yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
I think an embolism happens before the brains actually come out, so we'll be all right.
Next month they're gonna pull all my teeth.
Oh, I'm worried. I lost a filling a couple months ago, and I got to go back and take care of it. And I
Oh,
know the dentist I've gone to is now one of the big hospitals. And I used like growing up until I was like 25, I had a real personable dentist, like private practice kind of guy, and he was really cool and let me know everything.
right.
So I've only been into this dentist a couple times, and then at the end, I was like, nobody said anything, but like, do I have this and that and the other, and should I be worried about this and these other things, and should I be doing this? And they're like, yeah. And I was just like, oh man,
Yeah.
this is what I'm dealing with now.
No. What? Uh,
It's like, oh, so you're
uh,
not going to tell me I should really concentrate on certain things. I just have to do, I don't know, more of everything. I don't
right.
know.
No. What? Like 4 years ago, they did a surgery where they put more gum tissue on the bottom of my teeth because I sleep with a CPAP, so I have to
My
have the
wife
full
does.
mask
My
on.
wife does. Yeah. My wife has the
Right,
full
I have to
mask on.
have the
Yeah.
full mask
Well,
on
no, that's not true.
because
She does the
I
one.
can't breathe. I can't breathe through my nose, so I have
She
to
does
have
the
the full
one that,
mask on.
like, just is in your nostrils.
Okay, that's a
But it
good
is,
thing.
she can't do the full mask one because she moves and it goes off too much. So she uses this kind of smaller version of it. It still goes off
Well,
every once in a while, but that's the one she uses.
I do have to use the full mask, and the
Mm-hmm.
full mask presses against the lower lip here,
Mm-hmm.
and so the full mask pushes against this, and it ruins all of my bottom teeth, no matter what. No matter
Oh.
what,
It
regardless of
pushes
whether I
that
brush
hard
or
for
not.
that
Yeah,
long. Yeah. That's
right.
oh. That's
And
something
so,
you totally think they would be I mean, we know we have the technology and it would be a small fix for them, change the apparatus on the bottom, curve it a little more,
you know
have
what?
some,
You know what,
I mean,
brother?
they have they
It's
have the
it's
technology.
it is a lot better just it is a lot better to just sleep. To be honest with you, I mean, let me
You mean
change
sleep
my
with like
camera
out the
angle.
machine, you mean? Like just
Sorry.
rest without it? Is that what you're referring to?
Oh no, the CPAP that I use with the full
Okay.
face
Cuz
mask.
my entire life
I have
I've
no
slept like
choice. I
crap
cannot sleep without my CPAP.
without it. She has a really hard time too. She starts snoring super bad.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, snoring was the problem when I was still married. See,
Hmm.
I finally got the scar off of my
The
finger.
scar.
Mountains of Elysium. Oh my God, I haven't seen Mountains of Elysium in a while. Good times, brother.
He
Good
said hi. He
times.
said hi to everybody. Oh, and I guess I haven't really said hi to Kronos, and I think he's the only other one. Oh no, Odega Outlaw was up there at Mr. CC.
Anyway, yeah. So
That was you putting your
when
finger in
I
his
wear
cheek.
the mask, it presses against my teeth. So I'm gonna be a gummy guy for at least a year.
Oh
They told me it
no.
was going to be a year after they pull all my teeth out before they can put the new dentures in. So I'm gonna be a gummy guy for like a year.
You'll be all right. You'll make it, and then you'll have teeth better than you got now.
That is correct. That is
You're gonna
absolutely
go out.
correct.
What's the first thing you're gonna go out and tear up a steak? Well, they'll as soon as they put that other stuff in, they'll make you wait a while. They'll be like, okay, you can't really do this for this many weeks. And my mom got implants,
Well, like I
and
said,
she couldn't.
it's going to be a year. They told me that after they pull my teeth, that it's going to be a year before they can do the new dentures. So I'm going to be a gummy boy for a year.
That's all right. There's lots of things you can suck on and drink, and there's soft foods, and
You know what?
you can still love on some biscuits and gravy.
All right. So here we are. I I'm doing a pain stream. Pain meaning like
Hey,
chronic pain and stuff like
with
that.
our love.
So that's what I'm doing now because I don't want to go to bed yet. So I'm doing a pain stream right now, and yes, absolutely, it's no, we were talking about my teeth. Let's not talk about my teeth anymore.
That's fine.
In 2005 in Iraq, I had MRSA, and they used the wrong antibiotics on me for 6 months. I actually went to the Air Force Hospital in San Francisco when I got back on mid tour leave. I was there for 3 days. I was there for 3 days with the vancomycin drip in my hand and my arm. So it took them 3 days to cure the MRSA. And then in 2006, I got back from Iraq and I was trying to run, and I couldn't run. I couldn't run because my feet kept falling asleep. You know what falling asleep. You know what I mean by falling asleep.
Yes, my legs fall asleep. Most times I sit on the toilet.
Okay. It's actually called neuropathy.
You probably get it way
Okay.
worse than I do, but
It's actually
it's not.
called neuropathy.
It's
But
not a
yeah, back
very
in
pleasant feeling.
2006, yeah, it was like my feet fell asleep every time I tried to run.
That's
And
weird. When
so
you're
what?
active, they would like
2006
the
to
blood
now,
flow was doing
uh,
something.
18 years. 18 years. What? When I was in Iraq in 2011, my legs fell asleep,
Great.
and my legs have
God
not
dang it.
woken up since
Oh my
2011.
gosh.
So I've been dealing with neuropathy for 15 years, and I was not a drinker. I was not a smoker. I was a very good boy. I was a very good boy. I was a very good boy.
That's
I
relative.
didn't do anything wrong from 2011 to 2015 when they finally separated me from the army. I was medically separated. I didn't get to retire. And mind you, I'd gone through four deployments, and they medically separated me because I couldn't feel my legs,
That's
which
kind
I
like that's
imagine
kind of
is
crazy.
probably a
Like
good
you'd
thing,
think they'd
right?
retire you. Well, you think they'd have a better retirement. I mean, if you can't do the work, but for them to make up some other qualification
Well,
for it.
it was 18 years, and they did actually give me a lot of money when I left the army. Unfortunately, my ex-wife, she said, I don't want to live where it snows. So I didn't
Oh
buy a house
yay!
here up in Arizona where it snows because she didn't want to live where it snows. So we went and rented a house down in Phoenix, which was dumb as it really was the dumbest thing we could have done. But that's what she wanted. She didn't want to live where it snows. So, yeah. There
I
you
never
go.
really want to live where it snows either, but it snows where I live now. A couple times every other year. I'm not complaining. We don't
A
get snowed in or
couple of
anything,
times.
but
A couple of times every other year.
yeah. I didn't think it snowed where I was, and then a few years later it snowed. Then a couple years later we got more snow, and a couple years later there's more snow. And now it seems like it's a regular thing. It's like I don't like this. I'm from a warmer climate. I'm used to a warmer climate. That's all. I
I,
don't. I don't not like where I live. It's just colder
I,
than where I lived
I,
before.
I I know my eyes are sagging and stuff, so I'm going to turn my camera off. But my eyes are sagging. It's not a it's not a thing. But well, I guess it is a thing anyway.
Some people
But
have naturally saggy eyelids. That's just how it is. When
so
I
I
was in
figured
high
I'd turn off my
school,
camera and just put on my avatar. But what were we talking about?
your pain.
Oh, I grew up in Los Angeles. I grew up in Los Angeles. It never got hot and it never got cold. It was, you know, wonderful valley to live in. It really was. For weather concerns, but I mean, the smog would literally just sit in the valley. Every time I came over the Cajon Pass, every single time I came over the Cajon Pass, it was just, you could see the smog in Los Angeles. And that's what I grew up in.
I remember seeing it driving in from Sacramento. You would see the brown cloud everywhere when I was a kid. I had family in Los
Yep,
Angeles.
yep.
We used to go down like
The
every
brown
year or two
cloud,
years.
the brown
Yeah.
cloud was there every single time. It's actually a lot better now. I honestly, because uh, LA is, increased by like 18 million people. But apparently they're all driving hybrids because it doesn't look brown anymore.
Well, yeah. I know California's one of those states where they push that hardcore. So, I mean, and California's one of the states where they fall for it. You know, I mean, we've all seen
Even with all
videos
the poo.
of some of the people that live there.
Honestly,
It's all.
every time I go down there now, it's like, are you kidding me? Why do you people live like this?
I didn't really realize it was different until I moved
Why?
out. It was always normal, and then I moved out, and I was like, oh, it's it is different outside of California.
I was I was only 16. All right. Now, mind you, back in 1992 and 1993, we had the LA riots,
Mm-hmm. I was
right?
in high
And
school then, so
so
I remember all that stuff.
half of my city burned down. And then the next year, we had the race riots in my high school. Don't don't go to Paramount High School. Just don't. Unless you speak Spanish, then you can go to Paramount High School because they can't fucking speak English. The uh, Dogtown gang, a few blocks away from where I grew up, they knew who I was, so they never jumped me and tried to steal my bicycle, but the other gangs did.
That's never good though with the
Why did
gangs
I
because they always
why
have all the information.
why did I move to Arizona back in 1993? Because Arizona doesn't suck and California does.
Yeah, I'm wondering if my mom at some point will want to get out. They're not. They don't really keep up with a lot of the stuff unless it bothers my mom directly. She's not really concerned with much. So I'll just kind of have to see how the next 30 or so years go. I'm not in a much I'm not in a greater state, but I know I'm in a state that she always wanted to move to, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Uh, may I say, my my uncle, my aunt, my cousins, they still live there. And so my uncle is on hospice right now. His liver is failing. He's got a distended belly and all that. So he's on hospice, and he's got nurses coming by every day. His daughter is taking care of him, and I asked my cousins. My uncle is the one who's dying. I asked my cousins, why do you live in LA? And they were like, uh, Cause, cause
It
yeah,
gets stuck.
and I was
It
like,
gets stuck.
okay, all
It
right, I
gets
got
stuck.
you. Don't
It
worry
gets
about it.
stuck.
You're just stuck there. You don't have a choice. You do have a choice, though. My cousins, they have a choice. They just choose to stay there,
Yeah.
and I still, to this day, I don't understand why they're staying there. My aunt just sold her house. She bought a house in 1973, I think, maybe in California, and it was like $50,000.
Mhm.
They paid it off, decades
Mhm.
ago.
Mhm.
She sold it for $1 million just a few days ago.
Damn. That'd be nice. That's nice.
She
Yeah,
bought
my mom
a
kind of
she
did a
bought a
similar
five
thing.
acre she bought a 5 acre property here in Arizona for cash,
Arizona's just so
right?
hot for
And
me.
so,
I had family that lived down there. It was always so hot for me.
well, I live up in the mountain. I live at 7,000 foot elevation.
Okay, so you're not hot. It's hot there. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm not hot. As a matter of fact, I'm cold most of the time. I'm wearing a sweatshirt right now, and it's May. I'm wearing a sweatshirt because it's fucking cold here.
Yeah, I miss shorts. I'm in jeans and a jacket. It was really nice for like 5 days, but then the last 2 days have been overcast. It's like, man, it was so nice. I
Oh,
almost
dude.
got shorts. I almost wanted to put shorts on. Took my shirt off one day, got a little bit sweaty mowing the lawn. It's like, this is like old days in California. It's like, oh yeah, but I only get
So,
like a handful of those days.
because I was a water polo player, and because I was a swim team, uh,
That's when it
1992.
was. Then I totally got to do the football water polo thing. Water polo players are all gay.
Are you
I
fucking
was.
kidding me? We
Well, that's
punched
just
each
what they
other.
said.
We
That's just what they said. I know. I had friends that played water polo, so I know how hardcore it was. But that was just like always what football players said. And it was probably just because the water polo players wore Speedos. It's an old time thing from they just
Of course
it's
we
like
wore
old
speedos,
macho
but
school
we
shit.
we punched each other. We broke each
And you gotta
other's noses all the
shave the
time.
legs. You gotta shave your legs, and your skin is so smooth. No,
Have a good time, Kronos. Have a good
that's
time.
hilarious. Bye. I was
All right.
almost on the
I
dot.
think
I
it's
never
just
played
the two
water
of us
polo.
now, and
I never played water
I think
polo,
it's
but I was
just the two of
almost
us
on the
now.
dive
So
team.
maybe we should end this stream, and
Oh, we can do that. I didn't want to leave you hanging.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem. I'll see you
All
again
right.
on Jedi Bill or some other stream, maybe on your channel. But you have a good night
Absolutely.
and the rest of your
Have a great
week,
time.
because it's you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. So I'm not absolutely sure what to do right this second because I do. I really do want to go to bed, but I can't. I cannot go to bed. And it hurts. It hurts. So, uh, you know what? I'll just start telling stories. And, yeah, it was. No, I'll tell. All army stories because nobody wants to hear about how gangs are bad in Los Angeles, and I don't want to talk about when I lived in Los Angeles. So when I moved to Arizona back in 1993, here I was in Williams, and I was working as a short order cook at a bowling alley. The bowling alley had 8 lanes, 8 whole lanes in the bowling alley. I'm assuming that most of you guys are like, oh, I've been to bowling alleys all the time. Yeah, have a great night, Kronos. Have a great night. But yeah, most of the time everybody's like, oh, we go to bowling alleys all the time, and there's like 20 or 40 lanes or something like that. Yeah, in 1993, eight lanes. But I was a short order cook there, and then I started working at Circle K, and then I started working at the truck stop 20 miles away, and you know all that stuff. Back in 93, 94, I did what I could to support the family. And then, you know what? I was like, fuck it, I'm out. I'm gonna join the army in 95. Cause I found myself going back to high school and visiting my friends in high school. And I thought to myself, I said, you are that guy. Now, I really love uh, what's his name? That's what I love about high school girls. I get older and they stay the same age. What's his name? Somebody put it in the chat, please. Somebody put it in the chat because I can't remember. Anyway, I found myself doing that. And so I was like, okay, I need to get out of this. I need to get out of here. So I joined the army. I went to basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And no, you're not allowed to call it Fort Jackson anymore. I honestly don't know what it's called. I mean, I could look it up. I've got the internet and everything. But, oh, joke off if you can't take a fuck. Honestly, it's like, really? You're not allowed to call it Fort Jackson anymore? Wow. What a world we live in. You're not allowed to call it Fort Jackson anymore. You're not allowed to call it Fort Lee anymore. I honestly have no idea what Fort Lee is named now. But, I mean, they changed it just recently. But, mind you, I was medically separated in 2015. And prior to that, when I went to basic non-commissioned officer course, they told us specifically that you are not allowed to tell the privates that they're doing wrong. I was literally not allowed to tell the privates that they were doing wrong. It was the worst of all. It was the worst of all possible non-commissioned officers courses I've ever gone to because I wasn't allowed to tell them that. And now here it is, 10 years later, and they're changing all the names of all the posts that I was ever stationed at. Well, no. Uh, Fort Drum, New York. The name hasn't changed. I'm actually surprised they haven't changed the name of Fort Irwin. Because Irwin was a general for the South. And so they should change the name of Fort Irwin, but they don't care because it's 30 miles away from who the fuck cares. So they didn't change the name of Fort Irwin, but they changed the name of Fort Drum, they changed the name of Fort Stewart, they changed the name of Fort Lee, they changed the name of Fort Jackson, they changed the name of Fort Stewart down in Georgia. What kind of politics do we have to live with? So dumb. So dumb. Anyway, apparently nobody's listening to me, so, well, there's one person, and I'm pretty sure it's Kronos. So, I'm gonna go. Good night, everybody.